Good afternoon, friends. I welcome you to yet another eye-opener session of the day. Today, we are pleased to welcome eminent HR panelists from best of the hospitals in the country. Our panelists need no introduction. They have dedicated their lives for those who save lives. I'm Professor Arpit Trivedi, your moderator and voice. During the course of this discussion, my role is to make this panel discussion interactive, interesting, and engaging. Let me introduce our panelists one at a time. Mr. Elton Nathan, Group Head Learning and Development, Talent Management and Engagement, Apollo Health and Lifestyle Limited. Mr. Ankush Arora, Regional HR Head, North and West Region at Manipal Hospitals. Our eminent panelists will share their views on the set topic for 100 minutes, and post-knowledge sharing sessions, panel will be open to question and answers. Students are encouraged to put the relevant to the topic questions in the chat box. Today's topic for the panel discussion is scope and challenges in healthcare for management students. Now, I would request Ankush sir to open the panel discussion.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for such nice words to start off. I would like to share my background. I have been in HR for almost 17 plus years now. I started my journey in 2003 and I joined Thomson Press India, which was the India Today group, wherein I worked for 2.5 years as a HR professional. Followed by I moved to a car rental company, which was into car rental, car lease and radio taxis. I was there for almost 4 years. From therein, I got an opportunity to move to a healthcare, which was in 2009. I got an opportunity to work for Fortis Healthcare in 2009, wherein I started as a manager HR. And from there, the healthcare journey started. To start off, I took over one of their projects, which was into radio ambulances, which was with Delhi government. It was 150 ambulances we had to start for the Delhi government project. I was started. That's how I moved to healthcare. Because generally people find it difficult how you move from a different industry to a healthcare industry. So that was my journey from a car rental transportation industry to a healthcare industry. Therein, and then I joined, and then I moved to a unit HR head role there, and I joined there, and I was there till 2015. From 2015, KPMG, which is a company who took us from Fortis, and we had gone to do a transformation for one of the medical college, which was in Ghaziabad. So I had joined that company, KPMG, for doing that transformation for that hospital come medical college. So I was there for almost 3 years. 2018 is the time when I moved out from there, and then I joined Manipal. Manipal had come up in North India with a new hospital in Delhi, Dwarka. It was a 400-bed flagship hospital here in Delhi. So therein I joined here in 2018, and then I've been continuing here for last almost 3.5 plus years. So if you see overall, out of 17 and a half years experience, 12 years has been in healthcare. That is what is my journey throughout in terms of experiences. And then coming to the topic now, and the topic, it is scope and challenge. There is a lot of scope which is there in healthcare. Definitely challenges are there, but we all have to overcome the challenges together. Pandemic have shown us a way how we have to now look forward to different opportunities which are coming up in healthcare. Challenges, we all know that infrastructure has been a challenge. We all have heard oxygen issues. A lot of issues came during pandemic, wherein we got to know that this was required. So that all came up, and the industry was not geared up. Although government and everybody supported, everybody tried that we get through that situation. Somehow we got through also, but a lot of people have suffered also. Even if you talk about as a HR, I have got so many calls coming up during the pandemic wherein people required beds, they required support, and we tried our best, whatever we could do. But that is a reality. Healthcare in India, we still know that the government is not pitching in that much budget and all, which probably in years to come we will see that after seeing the last 2 years of pandemic, we'll definitely see that change happens, and already a lot of things are being worked towards it so that we have that kind of infrastructure. We cannot compare our infrastructure of healthcare with the Western countries. We are far behind, but The good part with Indian medical professionals is we all were together and we all supported each other and we tried that we gave best of our services to the people who were in need. That was the most important thing during the pandemic, which we all tried to do. And the thinking process, the thinking perspective, everything got changed during last 2 years. People who were not believing in insurances and all, they have started taking insurances. A lot of things have changed, and the thought process for entire people here in India has changed. And a lot of people are now focusing towards healthcare, and they know the value of healthcare. It is just not about hospitals; it is about pharma also. A lot of people would like to have their careers in pharma, and research also plays a bigger role. Earlier, research was not that important. People don't understand when they are coming from a management college that how the research will play a role. But research, clinical research, other researches have played a lot of role which will be coming up in near future. So we all should be gear up for that so that we have the right people as and when the demand comes and we are able to deliver as per the requirement of the community. So community is important because end of the day, when we are serving the people, we get. I personally feel that during the pandemic, so many blessings have come to us. We have got so many blessings from people around. People felt that not being a doctor, because people feel that you are not a doctor, still you know a lot of things about healthcare because that experience I have got it. Experience is important. When once you are there in any industry, ensure that you get that experience and experience and the exposure, so that you know the nitty-gritties of in and out of the place where you are, so that you can help people also. It is very easy to do a 9 to 5 job, 9 to 6 job, but when you are touching those lives, when you are interacting, you are involving, that gives you a personal satisfaction also, which is important in today's world because people, it is a fast moving world and people don't have that much time also, and they don't want to spend so much time also on certain things, but one has to ensure that we have to maintain that balance, and we are able to deliver on those parameters. And I definitely feel challenges will always be there. If we overcome one challenge, another challenge will come. It is not just about having the quality healthcare, it is about a lot of things. The challenges keep on coming, and we have to overcome those challenges as and when they come to us. Some will be infrastructure based, which will take little more time. Some will be people based. It all depends which kind of challenges we are going to face. Like skill development, Government of India has started skill development, which has been taken as 1 year course, 2 years course, just to have that skill, particular skill for that particular kind of work which is required. So a lot of skill development courses are being taken up by the government. A lot of private players have also got into doing those skill development courses, which is enhancing the skills of the people. A lot of people, they are not able to afford higher educations. People who have done 12th or they must have done some diploma or something, so they can do those 1 year, 2 years course, and then they can get an initial kind of opportunity in a healthcare. All that also supports the healthcare system also, and then that encourages the employment also. So it is both ways. It is just not about having doing a course and increasing your skill. It is about the employment also, which is important for generation, which is building up. And lot of focus has to be done towards the artificial intelligence also. Like we see that a lot of things we want to move towards technology, although we have been seeing it that technology has taken its pace, and with technology a lot of things have changed. Even during the pandemic, we had video consultation, audio consultation was a primary thing which people were doing. People earlier used to not accept the video consultations or the online consultations, but with the pandemic, because of the fear of moving to a hospital or a health space, they have started using it and they are finding it beneficial. And they now feel that it is easier also, and they can do it from anywhere. They don't have to travel so much to just get a consultation done. So that all helps. So that kind of things are changing. The world is evolving. Things are changing around us. We have to focus and we have to see how we can develop those skills and competencies so that we are geared up for that change, and we are able to deliver on those parameters as and when they come to us. In the healthcare, if you talk about hospital healthcare, it is not that big industry. It is still be called as a smaller industry. lot of opportunities are there in hospital. People earlier never used to have those courses like MHA and all, which are now healthcare administration courses, which were not earlier that much recognized. But seeing with the trend going last, if you see last few years and going ahead, people have now started going for masters in healthcare administration, which
Yes.
earlier never used to happen. That generally people used to have done management or administration, or later on they will realize, acha, this thing is also there, we were not knowing it. Once they get into a healthcare space, then they get to know that this could have also been a thing which they could have done it earlier, which they feel is lacking, or they felt that it is more intense or more linked to the healthcare space. That all with today's technology, today's online social media and all, we get to know things very fast. And the other point for students is because we are so much involved with the people around us. There are seniors to us, there are parents, our families in the friends circle also. People are doing different things, but make one has to ensure is what interests you. You should follow that. What is your interest? Because sometimes we see others and we feel that we have to follow them, or we have to just feel that because they are doing it we will also do it. That is not the thing, because you will do it, but you will not be at that level where you want to be. It is just like you're doing it because you feel that others have done it, or others have got that recognition, or they have gone to a top bigger level, so you will also follow them. Everybody has their own journey. One has to ensure that what they themselves are doing, are they following the right path? Are they know what they want to do in life? That is all which is more important in today's generation. Like I when I talk to students when they come for their internship, and when they come here for any interaction from different colleges, a lot of things we have seen that while they are there, they coming, a lot of projects and all which are given to them, they don't make more sense for them. It's more on that the company doesn't have that kind of resources to do those projects, like documentation or some survey or something which the direct people cannot be involved, or they don't have time or kind of bandwidth to do that. So these students are called in for that and given those kind of projects, or internship you call, or you anything you can call it that way. But end of the day, that what is that person gaining out of it is more important, which I feel that once a management student is coming to any of the healthcare facility or anywhere, it is not about just healthcare. Any company when they are going, one should see what projects are being given, are they making sense or not. A lot of times we have to accept those projects, because as the institution we have been told that we have to do those projects as per the norms of the organization. But my mantra to you would be, when they are giving you one project, you do that project, no problem, you can always do that project. But if you're there for 2 3 months, after 10 15 20 days, once you get to know the place, look for one more project which you feel that which will add value to your learning, and take that project additionally. You can always go to the HR or to the management and tell them, okay, sir or madam, this is what I feel that after 15 20 days, this I have been told to do, I'm doing it, but I would like to put extra efforts and would like to take one more project which is of keen to my interest, and I would like to work on that project. That is how one can learn also, and one can utilize that opportunity which the companies give you while you're going and doing your internship or any kind of training during your tenure in your college. Because we go with brand names, we go with big this thing that we got into a big group, big MNC, and we are doing our internship. But what matters is what you are learning out of it, what you are taking out of it after that 1 2 3 months, whatever you are spending in that space. All that is important. A lot of times, because we all have gone through that period, we all have gone through the studentship wherein we were not knowing and we were not mentored enough. So we later on when we join the professional space, then we feel that probably we could have done this thing earlier. So that comes with experience, but we have that experience. That's the reason we are sharing it with you. When the students are going for any of the internship or any projects, try to learn things which will help them to gain that knowledge, and then they can decide whether that suits their professional development, or how they can then move around to the industry of their choice, whichever industry they wish to choose once they finish their tenure of the college. All that is important because internship is something where you get to know a lot of things while you are there on in the company space, and when you are going for your final placements and all that thing helps you, because then you get that pulse also 1, 2, 3 months when you are there in any of the organization where you are having your training done. So that helps you. And then people, students like professors, I will request you all also, when you are sending those people for those internships and the projects and all, give them that initial information so that they can then use that information and then work on those while they're in that organization. And they should get that pulse that this is how the organization works. Whether that fits their interest or not is another thing which they have to look at while they are going for those trainings, and also that they know whether which side they are heading to and how they can learn from it and how they can move ahead in life. Well, it's a competitive world, if and learning doesn't stop. Like my friend who is there from Apollo, he's been heading the learning and development space. We all know that learning never stops. Even when we do our induction in our hospitals, when I meet the new joinees, I always tell them only thing which you can gain while you are there in the organization is don't stop learning. Enroll for some course or the other, because that is going to help you. That is your this thing that is always been going to be there with you. See, money will come and go. Companies you will keep on changing, but whatever knowledge you gain or whatever learnings you have, whatever new courses you apply for and you tend to do, that is something which will add on value to you. That will add on money also in long run. A lot of times students want to look for shortcuts and all, which is not the right mantra. But today's world, we see that in today's generation, it is everybody is looking for money, fast making money. Exactly. It is easier to say that, but while you are working, no company will give you money without you give them that kind of turn on investment on ROI, basically return on investment, because every staff member is a ROI for a company. So that is how the company always sees everybody. But the reality is that we have to also showcase in that manner when we are working for a private. Even the government sector is now changing and evolving towards that.
Absolutely.
That one has to deliver as per the expectations, because otherwise people behind are already waiting that you fall and they take that letter.
Thank you, Ankush sir. We will come to you again. Now,
sure.
Yes, Arpit sir, please continue.
Nathan sir, if you can also start with your journey. And
Sure. Thank you so much, first of all, for letting me be here. It's a pleasure to be here. Namaste from Apollo, and we definitely encourage all of y'all to take part of the session. So after my 10-minute discussion and speech, and I would definitely want to speak to you all personally, and I believe that you'll have a WhatsApp group, so that's going to be great, because we'll be getting all your questions and we'll definitely answer. We'll try to definitely answer everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deviate from my complete healthcare career right now, and I'm going to be taking you back to an age when I was your age. All right. And so I'm going to be going back almost 25, 26 years back, when, I was in my graduation, and I was doing my graduation. I was doing my BCom in honors with computers as my backing. And I really wanted to do my MBA. So I was preparing for my CAT for at least 2.5 years and religiously studying for that exam. And I thought I'll get into MBA and, I'll complete that. I'll get into management, and I want to do my post graduation also and things that way. So after all of that, let me tell you some trivia now. My girlfriend actually ditched me. And when she ditched me, I got heartbroken. So you know how this. I mean, I'm sure at least 10 of you in the audience would have gone through something like that in your past history in the recent few years. Well, don't worry, you can get out of it very, very easily. And I'm sure that each one of y'all will really laugh when you look back at all of that. But anyway, taking me back 26 years, I broke up with her, and I was really heartbroken. So I did not want to, be in that town. And hence, I decided to just move out of there and take the first job that came my way. So I quit my MBA. Can you believe I quit my MBA and I joined an airline as a cabin crew. Now, when I compare the days that I was earning as a cabin crew, I was earning maybe 1.5 times more at that time because the airlines were really paying well at that time. I'm talking about 97. Okay, so it's way back then. And the airlines, I mean, when I would compare my salary with my friends, I would always see that, my salary is anyway bigger than yours. I mean, what was the sense of me doing CAT and then getting into an XLRI or the IIMs that I was actually planning to? So I was telling them that I don't need to do my MBA and everything. But then as I saw that years had passed, these guys were now beginning to build their careers and they were going up. And I said, hey man, I'm still a cabin crew. Yes, I moved from a domestic airline to an international airline, and I started flying with Kuwait Airways at that moment of time and earning again in lakhs at that time, 98, 99 I'm talking about, and earning almost 2.5, 3 lakhs at that moment of time in a foreign airline. And I'm seeing these guys that are really growing. And then it was pinching me, saying that I'm just a cabin crew, I need to do something. And I decided that I'll get into management. So I started going in for IJPs, which are internal job postings within the company, and I moved into an airline with being in the learning department and the training department because of the expertise that I came. So I'm taking you now 10 years further into my career, and I then got into management, and then from training I got into operations. I was heading one particular region, then I started heading 2 regions, then I headed finally a complete southern region of an airline. And then I said, like, okay, I'm seeing the airline trend going really down. Where am I looking at myself 10 years from now? What am I going to be doing then? And then I saw that airlines are not going to be doing really well because the salaries also started dropping. So a cabin crew that was earning 1.5 lakh in 98, 99, is now earning maybe 45, 50,000, and we've dropped, the quality of work. So I said, I need to. So I was very strategic in my approach, and I would always encourage each one of you all to be very strategic in your approach in your career, to think ahead, not that, okay, fine, मैं ये करूँगा और बस I'm sorted. Think about what you're going to be doing at least 10 years from now. Then after you decided what you're doing 10 years from now, decide maybe 15 years, 20 years. So I did that, and I said that I needed to change industries. So I moved into the healthcare industry, and I've been in the healthcare industry now for about 6 years, and I started off, low, because obviously I cannot just jump into healthcare and be a hi-fi, southern region head. So I took up a manager's post there, and I said that I'm going to be doing something more. And at that moment of time, this guy told me that we cannot offer you the position that you have because you've not completed your MBA. Ding! Suddenly all my friends' pictures came in front of me, and everyone saying like, ab dekha, ab dekha. It was like as if they were taunting me. And immediately at that moment of time, I said, okay, I have to do my MBA. And I started my MBA 6 years back. I finished it within 3 years. Of course, I delayed because it was online and things like that. And I went back and I said, okay, I'm leaving you and I'm going into another organization. And then I moved into being a head of a group. This was about 3 years ago. I joined HCG. And then from HCG, I moved into Apollo here. And I've been heading the L&D, the talent management and talent engagement. So why I'm telling you the story is that in the beginning, everything might be hunky-dory for you, but you really need to, I can hear some disturbance from one of the audios. I don't know where it is from, but if you can mute the rest, that would be really great. So why I'm telling you the story is because everything might seem hunky-dory right now. You may have your dad giving you a good car or a bike. Everyone's sorted. The new generation has got everything sorted because the older generation, the bloomers, the baby boomers are basically taking care of all of that. So you don't need to think about whether, where you're going to be investing or, what is the number of FDs you have or things like that. But you are just going to be thinking about which is the latest phone I'm going to buy next, or which is the laptop that I need to have when I'm in college, or things like that. And there are a lot of things that might be on your top of your mind. But it's very, very essential that you look ahead and see where you're going to be 10 years from now. And that's when you will definitely decide what you want to do in life. And it definitely helped me. And that's the reason why I would always tell you that this is something really important that you can get into. Now, why did I choose healthcare? Well, I saw a lot of scope in healthcare. I was in the airlines. I was in the airlines for 18 years, and it's a lovely place to be. But Indian aviation is right now declining because of the number of the cost of fuel, the cost of the number of airlines that are there, the manpower that you get. Because everyone wants to be a cabin crew these days. At that moment of time, they were only looking at cream, dala cream, which is why I got through the airlines. Just kidding. But at that moment right now I saw that it didn't have so much of potential, and I saw healthcare with a lot of potential. Now there are a lot of things that healthcare also has challenges with. It's not that it's the best place to be, and one thing that COVID really taught us well was that we really have unmanageable patient load. For example, there was a strain to handle patients. We saw the news, right? We saw ambulances with patients. We saw patients on the road, patients on stretchers in cars and things that way. And to serve 1.4 billion people still remains a Herculean task when it comes to suitable managing healthcare facilities. So what is the scope? Well, there's a lot of technology that can be used. So there's a saying, right? With regards to problems. You have a problem, okay, can you do anything about it? If you can do something about it, then well, do it. If you can't do anything about it, then why worry about the problem? In healthcare, there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of problems, but every problem has a solution. And even this whole thing of managing people basically is to adopt technology and streamline operational and clinical processes for all your healthcare facilities, and something which we should have actually looked at much before is look at healthcare as a proactive approach rather than a preventive approach. Now, what I mean by proactive and preventive approach is that a lot of people like to go to the doctor only when they sneeze, or when they have a pain in their arm, or when they feel that they have a backache. Well, there are a lot of ways to treat that well in advance, and primary care is something which is always encouraged by our chairman, Dr. Pratap C. Reddy, and he is one that is always, in fact, he's the pioneer of preventive healthcare in India, and he basically came out with a prior health checkup before you get into everything. So we need to basically get into proactive healthcare and then look at everything else. The other thing is the lack of infrastructure by itself, which is a really big challenge. And we are lacking right now infrastructure, and to add to it, the rate of building such medical teachings or training facilities remains less as compared to the need of the hour right now.
Thank you, Elton sir. We will come to you now after some time. Now the question is for Ankush sir. So sir, the question is that you have changed from printing industry to car rental to now the healthcare sector. So what do you suggest to our students? To changing frequently the industries is good, or if you stay for some years and then if you will change the industry, it is fine, or as per the market trends, you can change the industry. What is your view, sir? Please give a brief review over this.
Initially, when you're starting your career, it is important that you have experience in 2-3 industries and then decide where you want to land up. Because if you are there in one industry, you will never know what other industries are doing and what kind of work they are doing, what kind of new initiatives, new innovations they are doing. So once you get into 2-3 industries, I'm not saying every year you should start looking for an opportunity outside. Probably 2-3 years down the line, you should look for opportunities in different industries. And after 5, 6, 7 years, once you know that where you stand, then you should take a decision that this is the industry I would like to have my overall career moving ahead. Like if you see my example, when I started in 2003, I started with the print industry. It happened through one of the portals. So it was not planned that I had to join a print industry, but I joined there. So I enjoyed the workspace there because I got to learned the entire gamut of HR there, because there my manager was my mentor, and she ensured that in 2.5-3 years time I got to know the entire belt of HR, which helped me to grow as a professional. But when I moved from a car rental to a healthcare, it happened by chance. It was not by choice. Because I was into car rental and Fortis was coming up with 150 ambulance project. Because ambulance are transport, so it linked to a car rental, this thing wherein they thought that he's a car rental professional, HR professional, so he'll be able to manage those drivers also, and he'll be able to manage those fleets. That made me move from a car rental industry to a healthcare industry. From there, it is now it's a 12-year journey wherein I worked in a medical college also, so I got to know how the students are trained and how they get to where we now hire them in our hospitals.
Sir, one thing that I would like, Nathan sir and you both to contemplate upon, sir, that there is, yes, of course, we have to talk about the careers and future in hospital management and in this industry. But, sir, the question that a lot of my students are asking is, after hearing both of you, there is dissimilarity, and yes, of course, there is a similarity that both of you are adding superior hospital facilities in the country. Sir, the question is that why the family pressure in the initial phase of a student's life creates a lot of confusion. I mean, this is a student from Punjab, he has asked me.
Elton, you can reply first.
Good question, actually. I touched upon this when I was talking about generations, of people. And if you look at generations, when you look at the baby bloomers, they got into a job and they stayed there 25 years minimum, and then if you look at our parents or our grandparents, they stayed in one company for so many years, because at that moment they looked at loyalty, and things like that way as the biggest criteria of thing. As generations moved on, it kept changing, and that is the reason why we are influenced. And in India, at least, we are still influenced by our, जो बुजुर्ग को हम लोग सुनते हैं. So when we listen to our elders, it gives us a kind of satisfaction also. That's why we keep going there for advice. Now, this being said, the generation is, however, also influenced by their friends. So the families will definitely have pressure that you should do this or that, and they definitely have a say in. Like, for example, I have a teenager in my house, a little less than what you have. Your ages are. I've got a 18-year-old, and I would have loved for him to become an architect, or go to JJ's and things like that way, because that was my dream, and I wanted to do something around that also. When I used to see my friends think that I should have done that, so I always wanted my kids to do, but he wants to do something else. Now, while we try to influence, you have a mind of your own. Now, the best way to deal with that is to basically talk your problem with your parents, and you should have an open communication with your family to tell them exactly what your thoughts are. I mean, we've seen that movie, Wake Up Sid, or various movies that are on careers and everything. And eventually, I mean, your parents are going to see your viewpoint, because when you do what you're going to be best at or what you're interested in, that is when you're going to be doing well in life. So I would always encourage you to have an open communication. That's the first step. So you will have the influence and the taunting of your parents to tell you what to do, but you need to be open with them.
Nathan sir, here what I would like to add is, a couple of kids who come. Sir, am I audible to you, sir?
Yes.
Sir, a couple of kids who come from small Mofussil towns. I'm sure Ankush sir will also agree to my point of view. Sir, there the line of communication is quite with a lot of interruptions. I mean, parents they just they inform what is expected out of them, or maybe there is hardly any communication. So these kids, I mean, how to develop that open communication? The word you used, open communication. How to develop that, sir?
Okay. Again, another question which can always put me on a jinx. But I would definitely say that you can. I mean, if you're asking me how to communicate with your parents, I've done that with my parents. My parents are very orthodox. I've written them a letter.
Okay.
Okay, I've left a letter on their bed and then ran to school and come late that day. I got it at the end of the day. There's no doubt about it. But I'm finally doing what I want to do, and I'm coming back from 25 years of experience. So at that moment of time, I mean, our towns were small time. It was not so exposed. So similar ways can be approached, and if it's in a small town, basically you can also take up part-time jobs. That is something which I did. So when I was in my college, I took up part-time jobs with ad agencies, to work on certain creative stuff and things that way. Now, those are some things you can do it while you're studying and show how successful you can be. And if you do that, most probably they'll see that, okay, fine, this guy is doing well. They need some reason to talk to the other people in their community, right? So they say, wo pad raha hai, and also he's doing this. And now I mean, later it's easier for you to convince them. So the doors of communication can be open, but you can always be enterprising and take up something, a day, on a daily basis. Like Ankush had mentioned, those internships, which he was talking about. That is something which you can take up even while you're in college.
Absolutely, and now it is very much possible these days. I mean,
Very easy.
number of opportunities, online, offline, mix of both. Ankush sir, your views. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he has mostly covered everything which generally one has to do. Because the other add-on point to it is because when your family is pushing you for that, then you have that additional pressure on you. Because if you are doing something which they don't want you to do and you are doing it and you don't succeed, then you are in a space where you will have no support. So the point here is that you somehow have to have that communication channel open, or somebody in the family. Like sometimes you don't have it with your immediate parents. Somebody in the family who has that kind of aura, who everybody in the family looks up to. Probably you can approach that person in the family, and that person can probably speak to the family on your behalf, and then convince them that this is the area of your interest, and you want to go with it, and let them support you in doing that. That is what probably they can look at, because every family, I have seen it in many families which I have come across, that somebody or the other is there who has that influence on that family. That person you should catch out in your family, and then
This
start.
also brings out the importance of career counseling, not only to the student but also to the parent. And I see there is a lot of scope in India that when you counsel a child, it is not only about the child but the family also, so that tomorrow when this boy or a girl becomes somebody, it is the entire family behind him or her.
Yeah.
So, sir, I mean, what is, in your opinion, you feel that such kind of initiative should be taken at what level, in the schooling or in colleges, about typical career counseling of parents along with students, along
That's what I'm
with
saying. Parents, see, parents counseling, it depends where you are taking that counseling. And a lot of times we are taking counseling from the people, they might not having that perspective. They might not be having the overall horizon
yes,
where they want that person to be, because they are not knowing the background of it. So it is always better to take that counseling from somebody within the family whom they look up to. So that person knows the background of the family also much better than the external person, and that person will be able to tell them the reality also, and he will be more concerned about them also, because when he is giving that advice, so he is backing that advice, and then he is also party to it. So that helps the individual also, and that helps the family as a whole also. I recommend this, rather than going for a career counseling, go for a counseling with a person who has accomplished something within the family, and then whom everybody looks up to. That person will be a better choice rather than a counseling at any of the other, where you have to pay money also. Here you don't have to pay money also.
right.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one question come from for Elton, sir. Sir, you entered in 1998 in this Jet Airways or Spice Jet means uh, airline industry, and then in 2014 you enter into hospitality industry. So when it was in a peak airline industry, you enter here, and before pandemic hamper completely to air, airline industry, you change to the industry where boom is most probably we can expect a boom. Right now, this healthcare is also on a boom. So do you have any plan to change to other industry which is going to be in boom after some years? Yes,
Okay, I just hope my boss is not listening, because if he is, then he's going to call me for a meeting right after this. Well, it's a very personal and good question, and thank you, whoever has asked this question. Well, let me tell you that I'm at a stage of life where I would like to do something on my own with regards to being a consultant. And after this many years of being in operation in HR, I've also taken care of HR in the aviation for a bit, and I've also been into learning and development and a lot of various fields right now. I would want to move into a industry. Sorry, I wouldn't want to move into any other industry at this moment, because I would like to do something on my own. Because there is a point of time in life when you've seen, I've seen three industries. I started off, in fact, with hotels. I did not mention that before the aviation, I spent a year in hotel, and then I moved into aviation and then into healthcare. And if you ask me personally, I don't think that is the right thing to do right now, because there's a lot of scope in healthcare at this moment. I think, which is the reason why I think the faculty and your management team in the college has also arranged us. It's not just so that we can tell you that, okay, this is something you should pursue, but it is something that is definitely going way ahead in the future.
Right.
Okay, we started, for example, in 1983, and at that moment of time, heart surgery, to put a stent, was not able. We couldn't do it in India. You had to go abroad and do it, and the minimum cost was $50,000. Today, a person can do a heart surgery even for 50,000 rupees. And that is the amount of technology that is coming in, and lots more that is there in the industry, in the healthcare in India. So I would definitely not want to move out of healthcare. I think this is the place to be, and it's only going to become bigger over the next 10 years. And I think it's the right time if you want to. I'm not promoting, my organization or healthcare to you at this moment, but I'm just saying that healthcare in India, there's a lot of scope. So I don't think I want to go, and it's a definite boom for the whole country, and reasons why right now.
Sir, there is one question for both of you. I mean, both of you, I would like to answer. Sir, a student of mine from Jammu has asked, sir, I am a plain BCom graduate now doing management program. How can I strategically make my career in hospital industry where I know nothing about?
So that is me. Who is this person? He is my dude.
Somebody from Jammu.
His name is Preetam from Jammu, sir.
Preetam, you and I have the same story. Why are you thinking twice? Okay, I started off as a BCom graduate. I moved into work. I moved into doing my post-graduation, and then after that, I then came into healthcare. I didn't know zilch about healthcare. When someone said IP and OP, I was like, what's that? Okay, and it's one of the most common terms in healthcare, because it's inpatient and outpatient. So that is something which anyone can learn. I mean, it's not rocket science. Honestly, it just takes your interest, your reading. I did a lot of reading. A lot of reading can be done on healthcare. There are a lot of articles which are available on the net. If you keep reading, you just dwell and merge into the whole system. So it's absolutely nothing to worry about. Ankush, what about you?
Ankush, sir.
The point I would like to add on to it is when you have your internship and when you are coming for those exposure during your first year, second year, that time you should choose a hospital. Is my thing to him is that he can have that training in that hospital, and then he gets to know how the services in terms of operations or support is working, which will give him an idea how the operations in a hospital have. And when you're working in any of the other industries also, the support systems are majorly same. Whether you go for finance, HR, marketing and all, majorly they are same. Only little bit of terminologies and the flow of work changes. Overall, if you're in any of the support services in any of the industries, you get to get the pulse how the generally the day-to-day operations are done. Like for example, like we have in HR, we generally tend to hire people from other industry. We don't hire from healthcare. That is the experience we are getting in Manipal. Generally, you tend to hire people from the same industry because they will come up with a similar experience, and it will be easier for them to start delivering from the day one. But once you get people from other industry, then you get people who have a new innovations and new ideas which they will bring on the table, which will help you to probably get to a new kind of working. That is how we look at people from other industry when we are hiring for HR now. It's generally healthcare, you find it difficult. I have worked in Fortis and other hospital chains. I've seen that generally we tend to hire people from the same industry because then it is easier for them to start delivering from when they join the organization.
Now we move towards one of the worst experiences the current generation or a generation above had on pandemic. Sir, what I mean, this is my student Diksha. She has asked, sir, it's again a personal question, but sir, what are the three learnings that you can share for somebody who is going or aspires to start a career in hospital management after seeing what nobody could have imagined? We start with Elton sir and then move to Ankush sir on this. Three learnings, sir.
So one definite learning is that we've gotten closer in the healthcare industry compared to everything else. I mean, we even relied on other hospitals. There was no competition during COVID.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I called up my friends in Manipal, in fact. So Ankush, I called up friends of mine in Manipal in Bangalore and asked them to help out with beds. They called me and asked me to help out with beds in Apollo. Like that way, we called various hotels. So we definitely got closer. We were much more open to learning new things. We are more ready now to face challenges in the future than what we are at any given point of time. In fact, we are coming out right now with a red book, a rule book on how to face challenges in the future. It can be anything. It can be another pandemic. It can be maybe a bomb being dropped in India, and then we how do we take care of everybody else? We don't know what is going to be there next. So how to face any challenge? Forget the COVID. COVID is right now become part and parcel of our life. I mean, who knew that I'm going to be wearing a mask on a daily basis? 2 masks rather, not 1 mask. I'm wearing 2 masks. Whoever knew that? So everything has a solution. I told you, remember, if there's a problem, can you solve it? No, you can't solve it. Then why is it a problem? Just forget about it. And if it can be solved, then you look for a solution. Then anything that comes our way, I'm sure that we are ready to face this. I can think of 2 at the moment. Ankush will also think of many more. And as he's speaking, I might come up with lot more things that
like you are sharing right now. Now we all are with masks. Earlier, when we used to see people with masks, we used to see that they are different people. Now, without masks, we feel that they are different people. That's how the mindset changes. The human being is such kind of a mind where they keep on changing as per the trend and the requirement of the people around us. We are that kind of people. It is a normal thing now, which we all experience. And 2 years have given us a lot of learning, because one is that you have to invest on yourself. One is insurance. We all should go for insurance. Insurance is important. A lot of people never use to go for insurance. They feel it is waste of money. But pandemic has given us that message that you should always have insurance with you. And second is spend time with yourself. It is important to spend time with yourself and with your families. Because in today's world, it is so fast-moving world, you don't get time to spend with yourself and as with the family. This way, we got to learn that from this pandemic, that it's time to spend some time with the family also, which is important, and which goes a long way when you take as overall.
In fact, to add to Ankush's point where he spoke about invest in investments, that is so important. Till pre-COVID, I always used to keep thinking COVID started and it's going to be starting, and what's going to happen with our jobs? Are we going to lose it? But today I'm ready to face a challenge of even losing a job. Okay, that's how COVID has taught us. what he talks about investments here, he's also speaking about, I think, investing into some area of
Your interest.
investments which will take care of your life in the future also. So today, which I mean, pre-COVID, I'm honest, I did not have, but right now there's a year that I can take care of myself without a job. And why was that possible? Because we simplified our lives. We simplified our lives. We did not go to the PVRs and the Inoxes. We did not go for the late night dinners and drinks and things like that way outside. We kind of measured everything and we said like, okay, this amount of thing goes. So even you have to plan. That's what I was saying. Strategic planning for the future. No matter what you earn, whether it's 100 rupees or whether it's a lakh of rupees or it's 10 lakhs of rupees in the future, decide that there's a percentage of that gets into saving, and then you decide what you want to do in your future and how you're going to be doing it, and make a kind of roadmap. I'm a fan of this book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you get a chance to read this, please do read it. And it talks about the big rocks in your life. Keep those big rocks, which are, your priorities, in the right place. Following that, you make a plan and you have a vision and a mission for yourself. And once you have that mission, you write it down somewhere, write it down in a diary, write it down maybe on a piece of paper and put it up on your, board at home or something like that way. And you aim towards that. And once you do that, no matter what comes along your way, everything is going to be fine.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Sir, one question comes to me. Sir, I want that you both should answer this one by one. One question is that in your complete career, you have hired many people. You have seen many people. When you have seen that some students or some candidates, your team is saying that he is not a perfect fit for your team, but you have seen some qualities other than what we have discussed, like the good communication, good English, good knowledge. But you have seen some quality that yes, he can be a good performer, and he is a star performer now. So can you share any one of the story who is a star performer now, but your team was saying that he was not a good fit for your team, and you have hired him? Yes, sir.
See, this thing happens a lot of times because I have now experience of 12, 13 years in healthcare. And when I was in Manipal, the new hospital was starting. We had to hire almost 300, 400 people in a span of 2-3 months. So when you are hiring people, you have to go with the guesswork also, and a lot of things you have to decide at the instant pace. Because at the end of the day, you need people. And somehow when we get those HODs and the functional heads, they are rejecting on certain basis. And when you come across those people, you feel that they can do it, and you want to give that chance. So that is when there would be almost 10, 15, 20 people like I can think of in last 3 years, specifically in Manipal. Obviously in Fortis also there used to be situations where we were able to do that. But I have that kind of a connect with people around in the hospital that I can influence them and I can tell them, okay, I feel that this person will be able to deliver, and they have delivered. If I talk about 10 people, I have told them, so out of 10, 8 must have delivered on the expectations which the functional heads had from them. So that all goes with the experience, because it is very difficult to decide in 10, 15, 20 minutes interview that whether that person fits your organization or not. But sometimes you have to go by your pulse, and you should decide that this is the right, and this person has that gene and he can deliver on that. That is how I look at people. I don't just see that somebody has experience or somebody is good in communication.
Yes, you have covered most of the things, but I want the 2-3 skills which students should develop, which will attract the HR to enter into the discipline or healthcare industry.
So skills is one skill which I will always say is when you are coming for an interview, you should have eye-to-eye contact. That is very important, and your dressing sense is important. That shows that how serious you are for the job. These 2 things are the initial bit. How you showcase yourself. You see, first impressions does half of the thing. If you are showcasing yourself in the right manner, and you are able to do that, 50% of the game is won. And it is just about how much you can talk about that particular requirement. That all one has to decide. 2 things, if you do it, eye contact and your personal attire and with the body language, that is what one should look at. And when you are teaching them in the colleges, just have those sessions in place. I think most of them will go through the initial interviews very easily once they know that basically.
At IIEBM, sir, we have this very standard and very hygienic practice that we prepare our students for key skills, soft skills, hard skills, and also we make sure that they are presentable. And this is something which we religiously follow. And
Sure.
why we do this is because, yes, of course, as you very rightly mentioned, that the first impression is when a candidate walks into the interview room with
Yeah.
a lot of hope that he or she might get this job. So at least, there is some percentage that every HR would consider when he or she looks into a candidate. So moving on, I have a next question. And this question is, sir, how, you can look at the previous data or your experiences, of course, as a basis when you answer this, and would like both of you to answer. Sir, how hospitals are changing now? As an enterprise, as an organization, as a business entity, how are they changing? You are at the forefront, so you would know better.
See, actually from the outskirts, everybody who are not in the healthcare hospital background, they feels that during pandemic, hospitals have made so much money. That is the preassumption everybody has in their mind, as if hospitals are making money, but that is not the case. The scenario is when the government is there above you and they are putting those laws which you have to follow, and there are norms which you have to follow. And initially, when the pandemic came, we also had occupancy which from 200, 250, it went down to 20, 10, 15. But we never ask people to go. That is something as a DNA which the organization has. Same goes with Apollo and other corporate brands also. We all have that kind of structure and that kind of policies and values and culture that we ensure that our people are taken care of. So there have been no salary cuts, which you must have seen in every industry, even in education, everywhere. I have not heard any industry where there were no pay cuts. The healthcare, specifically in healthcare in corporate hospitals, there are two ways of healthcare. One is the standalone healthcare, where one Lala is managing that healthcare and he can do whatever he wants to do. But when you talk about the corporate healthcare setups, there you have a structure in place, and then they ensure that they take care of their employees during this period. That what has happened also, that we have experienced it also, and that goes a long way when you build a brand.
Nathan, sir.
Yeah, so I would definitely want to say that Ankush is completely right, especially when we look at 2020. We really drastically dropped from what we were actually doing to what we're doing. Yes, maybe comparatively to other industries, we were making a sustainable amount or whatever. We did see certain cuts, and definitely everyone in healthcare saw cuts. Some of us, got the PMS, some, the appraisals and the increments. Some people did not get it. But I think one of the best ways to face this is to think of innovative ways for the future. And we at Apollo came up with innovative ways. So I'll just give you a small example. For example, when the COVID test had come out, I mean, if private sectors were allowed to take the COVID test, well in advance, we would have definitely done really well. But then it was only given to government sectors for the starts, and then later we were allowed, and that too we got it with a cap that it cannot be more than this cost. And because of that, we did a lot of numbers, but then the turnover was, not really, it was not as much as what we would have done if we really started right from the beginning. So the innovative idea that we thought about was to look at other things that, can actually help us in creating revenue. And one thing is that you need to think out of the box. You need to think out of the box to improve your business. At AHLL, at Apollo, we have something called as the Innovation Prize. And that is one of the R&R that we give out to, our employees. And anyone can actually put in that idea, and they get rewarded for those ideas. So we go through these, ideas and then see what best we can implement. And the organization has always had an open door policy. Anyone can walk into the CEO's room right now. Anyone can go and just knock and say, I'd like to meet the MD. If she's free, she'll definitely meet you. So one thing is that you just need to get your ideas across. Never think that, your ideas are limited and not going to be taken. The more outgoing you're going to be, the better it is going to be for the business. And that's when you're going to be recognized. That's when you're going to grow in healthcare. And I urge you all, no matter which industry you'll go to, Be innovative in all your approaches. Think out of the box. That's the key.
Exactly, sir. That's very very well put up, sir. Sir, the next question is, sir, I'm sure you must have seen difficult times, hardships, and a lot of burnouts. As an HR professional, how have you managed your medical fraternity?
Ankush, do you want to go first? Or
Yeah. See, when especially you're talking about pandemic or generally as
Pandemic, because it is the flavor of the season, it seems.
yeah, that is true. Because see, people when the initial pandemic came, there were a lot of anxieties among the healthcare employees. Also, it is not that we were apart; we were also part of it, and people were having that fear. Uh, to give a best example of it, I myself, like 2020 when they started in March April, I never took a break. I was the first one who used to come every day. It is not about that people are taking alternates off or people are coming 3 days a week. But I said when others are following this, if you also start following this, then they will say, okay, let's not come only, because if HR is coming, then everybody is saying, okay, HR is taking that front end and they are coming, so we will also come and we will also deliver. Because end of the day, you were getting those COVID patients, and you cannot deny treatment to anybody. So we have to live with it. Lot of counseling sessions, lot of one-on-one, lot of group discussions we had. We spoke to them in length. We told them that we are giving you best of gadgets in terms of PPA kits, face masks, and we had to give them accommodation also, because a lot of people didn't wanted to go home after initial 3-4 months, because that was the kind of fear they had in mind that once we are doing taking care of the patients, COVID patients, if something happens to us or our family, we had ensured initially 3-4 months that we give them that space within the hospital, and they are been given that food, everything, accommodation, everything was given to them, all support which we could give to them to make them comfortable. Because, and second part to it, to add on to it, we had a sessions with their family members. We had a online sessions with the family, wherein we called the family members to just settle their anxiety levels, that their children are being taken care of. It is just not about that we have to talk to them. We have to talk to the family members also to make them comfortable. That hospital had a policy that any of the employee, even the outsourced employee, if they get the COVID, we gave them a free treatment. It was a free treatment followed by a 14 days quarantine, paid quarantine. We never deducted a salary even of a housekeeping person or a security person. We ensure that 14 days period is being given to them so that they can come out of this situation. And that is applicable till now. It is just not about that we did it only for 3, 4, 6 months and we stopped. From the time 1.5 years back when this started till today. And to add on to it, we even had to give allowances. As a COVID allowance, we used to pay. Even in Apollo and Max and other places, they all started giving the COVID allowances after we started first in April last year. So somehow we have to monetize also to just engage employees and then ensure that end of the day, they are able to deliver and give best of patient care to the people who are coming during that period to us.
Nathan, sir.
yeah, so definitely solidarity is something we definitely looked up to, even though departments like mine never needed to be at hospitals, because as an HR we don't really need to be in front of patients, but we did go there. We were there with COVID patients, and we were always around. So by the organization employees looking at us, they definitely would be inspired that okay, fine, if they can come, we can also go. So that is definitely one. So I said one thing. Another thing that we really did was we had a lot of engagement with our employees. And when we talk about engagement, we speak up from an angle of stress management, meetings with psychologists, because we had psychiatrists at our hospitals. So we used them to actually speak to them. We had post-traumatic disorders that we actually went through. We had gone through HBR reviews to come up with frameworks that created certain things. This no one else did in the whole healthcare of India. No one did this. But we had support groups. We had people who went through COVID sit down in one room and talk about their problems, because more they speak about it, the better it is. So we had support groups, just as how you see in the West, where you have alcoholic support groups, or you have drug abuse support groups, you have child abuse support groups, rape victim support groups. We had COVID trauma, post-traumatic disorder support groups, and all of this was something that we organized here so that we can always show them and let them, and we got such positive remarks. These people actually said that they could get off certain stress that they went through. So definitely engagement with your employees is a key in various ways that you can do it, and I think that definitely takes away a lot of pain.
Sir, the next thing that my students want to know is, I mean, if there is such a strong call for duty, then why in certain places, in certain areas, people have not, I mean, the paramedics or the people responsible have not appeared, and this catastrophe to an extent could have been covered. Yes, of course, with a framework, HR framework like yours, wherein the doctors, the people at the front can be motivated. But in certain places, people have just disappeared. Look at our small mofussil villages, towns, where there are no health workers.
Yeah.
Sir, don't you think there should be some policy with great guns like your all esteemed enterprises should come up with a framework for the government?
See, when it comes to, I'm taking the liberty of answering here. When it comes to life, there can never be a policy which forces you to do something, right? So there may have been some people who backed out and were scared, and it's so natural, right? Just because they are doctors, does it mean that they are gods? No, I mean, they're human. They're human, just like you and me. They're all human. And if somebody did get a scare, maybe, what do you know what exactly happened in their life? Maybe they lost their mom and dad. Maybe they lost their wife. Maybe they lost a kid. And at that moment of time, they wanted to remain alive so that they can take care of the rest of the family. Maybe because he was the only sole earning member of the family. Or maybe the physical person to take care of them. So I would definitely not judge, as a person and say that, yes, they backed out, nikamme and this and that and everything. I'm not going to say something in that way. I got scared. Tell me you didn't.
Absolutely, sir.
So everyone gets scared. I mean, so what stops the doctor from getting scared? I mean, this is something no one even thought about. I mean, no one knew that COVID is going to be coming like this way. I mean, I'm sure that during any pandemic, even whether it was the Spanish flu or anything else, I'm sure there were a lot of people that were scared and people died. So definitely we can't judge really everyone else, but I would definitely say yes, we cannot have a policy for something like this way. It's a cause of right, but then we also acknowledge the fact that they've given their best whenever they could, and there are a lot of others that continue giving their best, and a lot of people who said they wouldn't come in the past, but then started to step up and took the vaccination, started coming up, and now they're fighting the disease in every possible way, the pandemic in every possible way. So I would definitely say kudos to everyone else, and I think that's my take on this. I don't judge anyone, and I think I don't think it's right for anyone to judge them.
Absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And to add to it is we all get to know only one side of the story, because social media is such that whatever we hear, we by hearsay we go and then we start thinking on that timelines. My thing is that we should get to know the side of story of the other side and then decide on it. And everybody must be having a reason. It is just not that they would have just disappeared. There could be a background to it. We don't know that background and what kind of support they were being given, whether that kind of discussions, that support, all that thing was discussed or not discussed. We don't know. So it is very hard to, on our part, that we will just say that it is not right and it could have been done in much better way. We all feel from the outside that that is not right and everybody should be taken care of and they should have think about the humanity and they should have delivered. But it is a difficult situation for everybody. It was something which nobody was expecting. And see, if you see 2020 and when you compare it with 2021, there's a different ball game. Now people have accepted it. People have started. They have started living their life around it.
It has the virus has become part of our life now.
Yeah. So that is how. So we learn from it, and we should get to know the entire story before giving our say to it. It is easier to declare that People just ran off from their positions, and they were not able to give support to the people in need. That is something which we get to know once we are into it.
Sir, a student of mine by the name Neeraj has, requested if you can spell out the kind of HR engagement that changed due to pandemic, because I'm sure there would be certain level of engagement at every level of employee. But how did the engagement change? Because I'm
First,
sure it's a very
got your point. See, first level of engagement tool which got changes because everything got from physical to online.
online, right? Sir?
So engagements is little difficult when you do it online. It is more related to physical interaction, and then you getting involved with that kind of a situation. But now with pandemic coming in, everything got changed. So we, instead of having our skip level meetings, our town halls, everything e started in front of everything. E town hall, e huddle, e skip level, everything get into electronic. So that is how we look at things happened. It is not that things stopped. Engagement was a tool which we had as a HR. We had to use that tool during this pandemic, because that was the only thing which we had, and we had to use it so that we have that motivated employees along with us who can then deliver on the patient care requirements which we have in the hospital. It was important for us to have this interaction. Myself and with my team, we used to go on the floors. We used to wear those PPE kits and just make sure that we are also there with them and keep engaging with them. To add to it, it is just not about having those sessions and discussions and managing their anxiety levels and giving them that support level. We have to take care of their food, which is very important. Take care of their accommodation, which is very important. That all has to be covered. Take care of their transportation. So we ensure that people who stay nearby, they want to go home, so they are given those transportation during that time. But that touch has to be there. You have to have that touch and feel with your people around, so that they feel that you are giving that extra effort to ensure that they get that comfort level while they are performing their job in the hospital or when they are outside also. And apart to add to it, we have created certain groups also, WhatsApp groups, wherein that interaction, motivational messages, one-to-one connect to improve the overall satisfaction level of the employees who were involved in their care of the patients. All that you have to add on to it, so that, see, I used to have gratitude messages from the doctors. So every week, one or the two doctors will speak or will share a gratitude message which will be shared with everybody. That is something. I got some videos made wherein we, as a support and administrative team, we gave our pulse that we wanted to motivate our employees, followed on a round of clap with everybody, almost 150, 200 people standing on a way and then clapping for those people while they're entering the hospital. So all those small things support them and then make them feel good that they are being recognized by the organization.
Nathan sir?
So yes, great moves that each one of us. In fact, I mentioned this earlier during my talk also, where I mentioned that we actually got closer compared to. In fact, Apollo is very diverse. We've got one person sitting in one center. Maybe in some place we have 10 people in certain places. So it's very, very diverse. And earlier we may not have connected with those people, but right now, after the pandemic started, we actually connected with everyone in the organization, everyone, and I mean 100%. The other things that we did is we had a lot of engagement, like you asked. I mean, a lot of engagement with regards to changing our complete R&R itself. Earlier, we used to have certain things like, maybe best employee of the month and best this and best that and everything. But then we changed it. We changed it to COVID specific, things like, for example, Corona warriors. We talked about, we even acknowledged the housekeeping people in the organization for, being on their duty, from morning till evening. We had people who were doing the screening. Remember, that every place right now has a screening, right? So when they come and they take the temperature, fill up. Now they are the first contact for everyone. You don't know who's actually going to come in. And they're going to be, if they find a fever, they're going to be sending them out. So everyone inside are actually protected by these guys. So we recognize those kind of people. We recognize doctors. We recognize technicians. We recognize phlebotomists. And everyone in the organization were recognized. So a proper R&R framework was created by the talent engagement team and we took this out, for a period about 6 months or so, only during COVID. We also did a lot of engagement through online, like for example, 14-day progressive, continuous sessions on yoga. We did Zumba classes. We did, things which they could, remotely enjoy. And those are the things that actually kept them engaged. And they kind of enjoyed it. In fact, we even sent them their certificates via Connect, through WhatsApp, through emails. In fact, we sent them gifts from Amazon because we couldn't go and give them Apollo gifts while they were here or couldn't recognize. So we sent it directly from Amazon to these people, and they enjoyed all of that. So the engagement has to take place. The proper R&R has to be there. And no matter where you are, you can still continue to recognize your employees, which is something that Apollo definitely decides to do at all given point of time. In fact, even the Founders Day this year, which is a really huge event, takes place on Feb 5th. And every year it happens in Chennai. Everyone from all across the regions, go out there. But this time we had a big event online, and we had big stars, perform for us online. And we gave out laptops, we gave out refrigerators, microwave ovens, things like that, washing machines, everything online. And we made the event really big. So nothing can stop you from connecting with your employees, something which we learned from COVID, and we continue doing that.
Sir, the next question is, sir, what is the scope of innovation in HR? Looking at the way things are today, everything is volatile. What is the scope and where do you see it, sir?
Innovation, in the sense, we can look at artificial intelligence like we have it in other industry. We can similarly have all our processes, protocols, everything aligned up as per artificial intelligence. We have people can just go through each and every policy themselves, and if they have to put in any query, they get automatic answer to it. So HR involvement, personal involvement will be less. They get to know almost 80-90% of their queries immediately responded. That is something which has to be looked at, and already some companies have started looking at it as a next level of interaction with the employees, so that they get immediate solutions. Because a lot of time, people who are there on the floors or they are working in different areas of the hospital doesn't have time to visit HR or come to HR for any particular thing. Once you have that artificial intelligence software in place, almost 80-90% of the queries are resolved there, and then when they put it up in that software, and that helps them a real-time solution, they get it. That is what I have experiences also, and that is already in the implementation stage. I have gone through those modules. It is very encouraging, and it is going to be a turnaround for healthcare HR, is what I look at it.
Yes, so innovation definitely. I'll speak from a field which I'm an expertise in Apollo. Here, I take care of learning and development, talent management, and talent engagement. So I'll speak from my perspective, and then maybe speak about other things that come to my mind. But with regards to innovation, we couldn't really connect in person to people. So we started creating learning videos, and these videos were hardly a minute and a half or 2 minutes max. Now, these are the things that we wanted to focus on, whether it was a grooming policy or whether it was a POSH policy, prevention of sexual harassment, or whether it was COVID protocols, or if it was, stress management for that matter. We created these videos and shared it with everyone. We sent it through emails, we sent it through messages, WhatsApp, and we also put it onto our screens at the hospitals and things like that way. And this was an innovation by itself, because we never thought that a short video would say so much, and we created all those things. So those are some of the innovation that we came about with. Other innovations are basically digitalizing everything that is possible. And right now we're looking at digitalization, AI interfaces for everything, right from your payroll systems to your engagement, to your learning management system, to your finance. Everything is all getting digitalized. So innovation, it may have been present everywhere else, but right now we are getting into being more digital compared to what we were before.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one question is that as you have a successful career growth, as you are working already in a top-notch healthcare sector. So, sir, our students are just entering into the field of PGDM. So they are just graduate. So can you share any one-off mistake which you did in your past, if which will be avoided by our students after PGDM? They will enter into rights sector, so they will grow fast. So share any one of the mistake which you did in your life, which surely help you in grow. But if you have avoided that, it will be a more beneficiary for you. So can you share any of the mistake which our students should avoid when they are entering?
I got your point, Neeraj. It is not about mistake, it is about learning. So when we have that learning, I will always say, initial, when you are joining any of the organization, initial first 2-3 years, you should be able to get one mentor in the organization whom you can look up to, and then you can start interacting with that person who should be your role model, and who will help you to guide, and who will ensure that you get to a level where you want to be. That is something one should look at while they are joining any of the organization. Look for a person whom they should look up to. It is difficult to get the people who will be able to give you that kind of a guidance and then that kind of a learning, but you should look up to it. That is what I feel, because that I got myself after 10 years. So I would say initially when the students are going first 2-3 years, they should look at somebody whom they can look up to. That will help them a long way.
I would say one of my learnings, one of my mistakes are that, I did not start learning right from the beginning. And I think that's what you have as a chance right now. You have it from the horse's mouth. I waited till a few years back to complete my MBA. I waited till a few years back to start my certifications. And no matter which stream you enter, whether it's healthcare or whether it's anything that you want to choose, make sure that you keep abreast with a lot of certifications for yourself. For example, I'm not taking names, but there are a lot of institutes right now, big institutes, management institutes that offer you certain things in HR. Maybe it's just a 2-month course, but you get certified with that and you get that knowledge. You might get it something to do with performance management, or you can get it for procurement or supply chain or credit control. There are various courses that are all there, and once you finish this course right now in the next 2 years, you are going to be abreast with a lot of things, exposed to a lot of things that will give you an understanding as to what everything is all about. So every year, just make it a point to complete one certification somewhere. One certification. Just do that, saying that I will self-develop myself in at least one thing. And every year do a small course, maybe a month's course, or maybe even 2 weeks course. There are even courses that are there for 3 days. Okay. And those 3-day courses are what is going to build up a lot of your experience, because when you start interacting, especially as management students, when you start interacting with people, no matter which field they are from, you need to be knowing what they're talking about, and you will then have those things being developed in yourself. So I would suggest that go ahead and learn. So I've not done that right from start. I've been only doing this for the past 10 years, where every year I've decided that I needed to have some certification. So if you've gone through my resume, you'll see that I've done certain things which has enhanced me in some way possible. So I would suggest to you also to learn from that, and do some certifications in the future.
Thank you, sir. Sir, already we have covered that which skills they should learn, but our students will be with us for 2 years now, because they are just entering into MBA. So I just want a short answer. Is any tool which you are using which needs 6 months, 1 year time to learn, like analytics? Already you have discussed that AI ML will be the future. But any of the tools which you are using is software or HR tool, which if they will start learning now, so after 2 years they will be proficient in that. So short answer, which are any of the name of the tools, so that student will know that this is a software the industries are using. Over to you, sir.
I think there are various tools. I don't want to name just one. I wouldn't, because I'm not going to be promoting any tool to you, because every organization believes in certain tools, and each one of them takes on that kind of tool for themselves. Now, it doesn't mean that the other tools are bad or wrong. But I wouldn't personally suggest anything in particular. And there's nothing that, okay, fine, if I get proficient, imagine if you most probably get proficient in a SAP or an Oracle, and then, when you go somewhere else, they're using something else. They're using Darwinbox for HR. And what are you going to do at that moment of time? Say that I don't know Darwinbox, I'm sorry, I can't join you. So you just have to join the organization and learn it. And the organization is investing in you. 100% they're going to train you in that tool for sure. So wherever you join, whether it's SuccessFactors or whether it's SAP or SAP or whether it's going to be Oracle or anything else, you're going to be abreast with it in no time. And a couple of years from now, that is also going to go outdated. So I wouldn't suggest that you study one tool right now and then in the future find that that's outdated. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ankush.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is very difficult because see, every organization have their kind of tools. It depends how much investment they are going to put in that particular tool. It all depends on what is the kind of horizon they have it for that particular thing for their organization. So it is very difficult to specifically name one or two. SAP and Oracle and all is the current trend. Probably 2 years, 3 years down the line, something new will come, and we will also be getting used to it. One thing is that you should have that art of learning. Art of learning is there, and that thought process is there. So definitely you will get through it, and they will be able, if they are sharp. If the person is sharp, he will be able to understand, and every organization will give that kind of leverage or time frame to get used to that kind of tool. Like for customer experience, we have a different kind of a tool. Apollo is using different, other hospitals are using a different tool. It depends. It is very customized to a requirement of each and every organization and kind of expectations they have it from that particular tool. So very difficult to specify, and it is very difficult for you as a management, colleges also, to make them learn, and then they will, once they go to the organization and then they see that it is not there actually been used, then you will be questioned. Then it will be other way around, and then they will see the entire time and the entire spent has gone for a waste, gone for a toss. It doesn't make sense. It is more about the learning zeal should be there, is what I would say.
Sir, my last question is, already India is facing shortage of doctors, and you are the number one institutes in healthcare. So what are the challenges you are facing to keep the doctors in your hospitals to continue for a longer duration? So which are the challenges you are facing and how you overcome that? Over to this.
See, challenge in terms of doctors, because I have worked in a medical college also. I know how the doctors are trained in a medical college, especially the private ones. And when you go for the government, the infrastructure is really lacking. So kind of exposure they got while they are studying and while they are doing their internship in those colleges is very, very different and very, very minute. So that the only thing which I have for doctor is probably the people who when they go for a MBBS, one is fine that they are doing MBBS, but when they are going for their next level of education, like from BCom or graduate, they are going for a post graduation. Similarly, for doctors, when they are going for a post graduation, it is important from there where they are doing it, what kind of skill sets they are bringing it out after doing that particular course from that particular institution. And challenge, we definitely have challenge because MBBS doctors, when they are coming residents, we hire residents here, but their thought process is only for 6 months, 8 months. Because at the end of the day, they all want to go for that PG. Only the time frame they have it in mind is 6 months to maximum 1 year exposure in terms of hospital learning, so that they can go back and then do their PG. Because end of the day, after doing their PG, their earning will be much higher compared to what they get after MBBS. Everybody has their focus. A lot of people will want to do PG from government, because government, the cost of doing a PG is much lesser compared to the private ones. But in today's trend, a lot of people are going abroad also for their PG courses, and a lot of them, even the doctors, want to settle abroad. So a lot of them want to keep trying and keep having those exams so that they can move to UK, US is their mindset, which will take time to come out of it. But good part is, if you see in today's a lot of communication we keep seeing from the government and from the news channels, that a lot of investment is being done in creating a new medical colleges. Like UP, we have heard that so many colleges are coming. Similarly, in other places of the country also. So probably with time, we'll get to a place wherein we'll have a lot of more doctors coming in, The good part is there is an entrance exam need which is there now, which never used to be there earlier. So I have experienced it in a medical college wherein there was no exams and people who had money were getting those seats. But now you have to pass that exam also. And to add to it, now exit exam is also going to start for MBBS and PG. When the exit exam is there, so it is not just about entering into a medical college. It is about after exiting, you have to pass an exam also to get that degree. That will automatically improve the overall quality of the doctors which we'll have in the country.
Nathan, sir.
Yeah, I guess he has covered it all. I think we can go on to the next question.
Sir, before we wrap up the session, last question to both of you. What do you read, or what makes it important for a management student to read? So if you can throw some light on reading habit.
You're talking about leading.
Reading, sir, reading. Reading habit.
Okay. You can maybe tell the professor and the dean exactly how many of you hate reading. I used to be one that hates reading, but reading really is important. And if you can't read, there's something called as audibles right now,
Yes.
where you can just listen. So the thing is that it's the information intake. There has to be an input. If you have to work and you have to put across something to anybody else, you need to ensure that you put in something here so that you can speak. For example, when I was approached by a college to speak about something, I had to go through Google to see like, okay, what is the being abreast with certain news. I mean, I'm not superhuman. I don't have everything in my head, right? There's no one who can say I know everything. Never. Okay. So as soon as you do something like that way and you put in something here, you can say something else. So I would always encourage you to go through audibles, go through short reads. I mean, Harvard has a lot of short reads, and if again, I'm not promoting it, but it's something which I follow on Instagram. Yes, I'm on Instagram also. So I like Instagram because you get a lot of information there, and I'm not on Facebook, but I have an Instagram handle, and on Instagram I follow pages like Harvard or Stephen Covey to understand what are the things that can give me short reads, and it's just a page maybe that you can read, and that kind of information builds up your knowledge. So you can do that. You can download audibles. They're really cheap. You can get a Kindle, have short reads as a thing. But as soon as you have information going inside, you have an output. If you don't have an input, you're going to be with no output. That's definitely something which you need to cultivate in any form. Take in knowledge, or just speak, or just be with someone who's willing to talk to you. There are a lot of people who like to talk. So, and if he's talking sense, then be around him. If he's talking nonsense, please don't be around him. So take information which is handy. Don't just rely on the news or Netflix or your Amazon Prime or Hotstar to give you your information. Ensure that you take in a lot of input so that you can have it all inside there.
Ankush, sir.
See, it is all about individual interest. Everybody has their kind of interest. Some people will like reading, some people will like listening, and somebody would like to hear it from somebody else. Somebody would like to visualize it and then do it. Somebody will have want to have everything in practical form only. So it all depends on individual interest. So very difficult to say that reading can get you somewhere. It is not about that. It is about your individual interest. What interests you, you should go for it, and definitely you will succeed.
With this, we bring our panel discussion to conclusion. It was a sheer treat. It was a pleasure to have both of you with us today. There was a lot that was shared, a lot of us to learn from and improve upon. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for your energy and kindness to be with us today. Thank you so much, sir, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, both of you, and thanks to all the students who will be listening patiently, or probably they'll listen to it later. And best of luck from the Manifal family to all of them.
Sir, thank you.
All the best to everyone out there. I definitely wish you that you do successfully in your life, and we're always there for any help in the future. we are definitely a lot of greetings from Apollo family, and thank you for joining us and listening to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir.